It's kind of like stupid to complain about. I swear I'm not complaining.
If I was a Hollywood executive, I would blacklist her.
If I were a Hollywood executive, I'd blacklist her. Outside London's Palladium this week, the tension is practically vibrating through the walls. Insiders claim that director Jamie Lloyd's high-profile Evita revival has spiraled from a buzzworthy production to a full-blown disaster. And the reason? Rachel Ziegler, Hollywood's on-again, off-again darling, is allegedly rewriting the diva rulebook. Quick disclaimer before the legal teams start typing. Everything you're about to hear is reported, unverified, and very much alleged. So take it with a grain of salt, but don't look away.
I was actually, oddly enough, auditioning for a Broadway show of a very famous Broadway musical that was having a revival, and the producers and directors were ordering lunch while I was singing.
Picture this, day one. Rain drips off the marquee. Rachel Ziegler strides in like she's about to deliver the Sermon on the Mount. Call time. 9 a.m. Rachel's arrival? Let's just say, fashionably late, latte in hand, energy screaming, I'm here to reinvent theatre. Then, the first alleged clash. Director Jamie Lloyd offers a gentle note on blocking, and Ziegler, brimming with confidence, cuts him off mid-sentence to explain how she believes Eva Peron would command the stage.
Honestly, I thought I would be a lot more terrified.
Honestly, I thought I'd be a lot more terrified. Translation: according to one shell-shocked ensemble member, she directs. We orbit, and it only got worse from there. Rumor has it that during a full company run-through, things hit an iceberg. Ziegler allegedly stopped mid-number, declared that the creative frequency felt off, and walked straight out of the room, leaving the entire cast frozen on stage like glitching animatronics. Not exactly the team-building moment West End investors were hoping for. But here's where the story goes from spicy to scorching. While whispers of late arrivals and walkouts spread across theatre Twitter, Ziegler's Instagram tells a different tale, that of a fearless, uncompromising visionary.
I'm a very talented, capable individual. I'm here for a reason, I can do it.
One photo dump, captioned "Channeling Eva's Fire," sits next to a serene backstage selfie so calm, you'd think rehearsals were happening at a yoga retreat. The fan response? Split down the middle. Half hail her as a misunderstood genius. The other half wonders if this show should be subtitled Waiting for Rachel. And that split, that tension, is the real powder keg. Because behind those rehearsal doors, if the reports are true, every delayed cue, every argued note, and every side-eye stacks up like dynamite. So now the big question, will Rachel Ziegler conquer the West End? Or blow it up before opening night? And truthfully, the warning signs came long before the rehearsal schedule started resembling a fire drill. It began, insiders say, with whispers from early table reads, little comments about lateness, demands for temperature-controlled tea, and a leading lady testing her vocal range down the hallway, while the rest of the cast waited for MIC checks. To the untrained eye, that might look like typical actor behavior. But to West End veterans, ritual without punctuality is just chaos in costume. And chaos, people, chaos has a smell. The first whiff came on day one. Phones buzzed with the same message, Rachel's running late again. Allegedly, she strolled in wearing noise-canceling headphones, chirped a breezy morning, beauties to no one in particular, and proceeded to unpack a miniature altar of vocal warm-up gadgets.
This is the one time in my life where if you have something to say, I don't want to hear it.
According to a stage manager, things got off to a quirky start. Ziegler's prep routine included a portable humidifier, a jar of Manuka honey, and a crystal water bottle recharged under the full moon. Cute, maybe, but they were already 20 minutes into the blocking schedule, and that delay had a domino effect. What was supposed to be a 6-hour session got crammed into just 4. Cue the first wave of eye rolls. Then came what she reportedly called creative clarifications, stopping live readings to dissect subtext line by line. Within 48 hours, sources say Ziegler had questioned everything, from Eva's accent and speech rhythm to the ensemble's breathing cues. Director Jamie Lloyd, ever the diplomatic professional, responded to each query with monk-like patience. But backstage whispers painted a more cynical picture. She's directing the director now. And if that sounds dramatic, brace yourself. What began as intellectual curiosity quickly turned into full-blown critique. One moment, still unconfirmed but widely repeated, involved her disputing a musical phrasing note.
If you have any opinions, I don't want to hear them.
During a rehearsal, the musical director suggested softening a vowel sound to help with vocal blend. Ziegler allegedly shot back, blend is for backup vocals. I'm narrating history. According to an eyewitness, the room fell silent, like a courtroom just before the bailiff calls for order. That's when I felt the energy shift, the witness confessed. It stopped feeling like a discussion and started feeling like a coronation. By the end of the week, the ensemble's group chat had a running joke, Eva or no. Intended light-hearted on the surface, but underneath, a quiet dread was building. The show's heartbeat was racing, and no one could find the rhythm. If those early complaints were tremors, the rumored showdown during the Don't Cry for Me Argentina blocking session was the first real crack in the Palladium's marble pillars. Picture this, the main rehearsal hall, flooded with harsh overhead fluorescent lights, the kind that strips away every illusion but ego.
What would you say to those who are just kind of overly critiquing the film at this point? You've worked so hard on it. All right.
Jamie Lloyd, ever the minimalist, had just finished explaining his vision. Eva Peron in absolute stillness. Arms by her sides, voice carrying all the weight. The ensemble, a living frame, simple, stripped down, surgical. Enter Rachel. Sources say she listened intently, eyes narrowed, lips pressed tight, before quietly, but unmistakably, saying, "I don't think so." What followed, according to one spectator, felt less like a notes session and more like two tectonic plates grinding. Ziegler reportedly argued that Eva's power didn't lie in stillness, it lived in motion. A rising hand, a single step forward, a queen claiming her balcony. To prove her point, she took center stage and launched into what multiple witnesses described as an impromptu masterclass in charismatic dynamism, arms slicing through the air, chin tilted to greet imaginary applause, voice projecting all the way to the lighting grid. Stunning? Absolutely. Productive? That's where the room split. Some cast members felt a surge of inspiration. Others, a creeping sense of dread, because the clock was devouring rehearsal time, and Lloyd's careful plan was unraveling in real time. An assistant stage manager, according to reports, glanced at the schedule, mouthed goodbye lunch break, and began rewriting the call sheets on the spot. The showdown peaked when Lloyd, ever the tactful leader, gently reminded everyone, including Rachel, that collaborative theater relies on trust in the director's blueprint. Ziegler's alleged response? A tight smile, a polite nod, and a line that's already achieved cast legend status. A blueprint is a suggestion. History is what we build in the moment. Translation, as one exasperated dancer put it, "We're improvising a skyscraper, folks. Hope the foundation holds."
What an idiot I've been as a young person in this industry who has no filter and no idea what she's doing.
By day's end, Jamie Lloyd had conceded just enough adjustments to keep the rehearsals moving, but insiders swear the atmosphere had shifted. The director's once calm perimeter now felt more like a fault line, and somewhere between those clashing visions of stillness and spectacle, the seed of an oncoming storm was planted, one that no amount of polite applause would be able to contain. Rehearsals hit Deacon 2 during what was supposed to be a smooth ensemble run-through of Buenos Aires. Sources recall the room pulsing with that rare, almost electric energy, actors chasing the elusive moment where blocking, music, and sweat finally click. But they barely made it through 8 bars before disaster struck. At the critical moment, where Eva spins into the crowd, Ziegler allegedly froze, slashed her hand through the air to cut the band, and announced, "The energy is wrong. I'm getting static, not revolution." Eyewitnesses swear you could hear sheet music hit the floor. The dance captain quickly tried to reset, calling for a return to the top of 16. But Rachel was already stepping downstage, explaining, in polite but unmistakably exasperated tones, how the ensemble's footwork was muffling Eva's heartbeat. One chorus member later joked, "Apparently, our shoes were blocking her aura." Laughter aside, the seconds stretched into minutes, the air thickening like a London fog, one no one had ordered. Jamie Lloyd, ever the professional, approached, attempting to triage the situation, gentle questions, fresh staging ideas, anything to keep momentum alive. Ziegler listened, jaw tight. Then, according to 3 separate accounts, she shook her head, slipped off her MIC pack, and walked straight out of the hall. No warning, no 5 minutes, no script left behind, just the soft click of the door and the collective realization. They'd lost their Eva. The fallout was instantaneous. Phones buzzed. Texts flooded in. Did she quit? Is she sick? Are we done for the day? The company huddled in uneasy clusters. One swing asked if they should keep drilling the choreography. A stage manager reportedly muttered, "Drill what? The lead just bailed." Lunch was rescheduled. Call sheets were redrafted. A 25-minute hold quickly ballooned into a 2-hour scramble. Ziegler remerged the next morning, no apology. Insiders claim she simply said, with brisk efficiency, "Let's focus before diving into vocal warm-ups."
Like, who has been the most exciting person for you tonight? Oh my god. Besides, took the words out of my mouth. Besides.
But the damage had already seeped into the air. The crew had a nickname for that silence, the blackout. And it now hovered over every rehearsal like a storm cloud pregnant with deja vu. Because once a lead proves she can disappear without warning, every countdown to curtain becomes a gamble. And Evita this week, it felt like the most expensive roulette table in town. By midweek, the rehearsal vibe had mutated from tense to triage, and a new phrase was born in the tech booth, Ziegler adjustment. It became shorthand for rewriting a lighting cue because yesterday's blocking no longer fit, or, as the crew put it, was now spiritually outdated. A Ziegler adjustment could also mean recharting the sound mix after an impromptu octave leap. On one particularly frazzled afternoon, the prop master reportedly slapped a label on a spare MIC pack, Contingency RZ, and everyone laughed a little too hard at the gallows humor behind the glass of the production office. But beneath the laughter, the mood was undeniably darker. Sources close to director Jamie Lloyd say his once legendary calm is now running on fumes. He still holds daily creative huddles, but insiders claim half of the agenda now revolves around troubleshooting, not artistry. One assistant stage manager even leaked a color-coded flowchart titled "If Rachel Declines a Note," version 3.1. Options ranged from clarify intention to, in tiny font at the bottom, escalate to producer. Comedy? Maybe, but no one was laughing. Meanwhile, the ensemble has developed a survival script. According to one dancer, they now enter each day with 2 versions of blocking memorized, director's Plan A and, well, Plan B, just in case. The Rachel remix, you never know which reality we're living in, one dancer shrugged. So we keep both alive, like twins in separate incubators. The emotional toll is starting to show. Coffee runs now include an extra tray, labeled morale shots. Pure espresso for whoever just got steamrolled by a spontaneous motif reinterpretation. And it's not just the cast buckling under the weight of constant shifts. A lighting tech revealed that rapid-fire changes had wrecked the cue list so many times that the console file had earned the nickname Franken Show. "We stitch it together," the tech said, and then the next day, a limb falls off. Even Jamie Lloyd's closest collaborators, who are normally evangelical about his minimalist genius, are whispering that the canvas is disappearing under all the constant repainting. But perhaps the most telling sign of the mounting fatigue came when Lloyd, Mr. Zen himself, allegedly ended a 9 p.m. notes session by staring at the empty stage and muttering, "We're hurting, thunder." In a room built on precision and trust, that single crack of thunder is reverberating through every rib in the Palladium. Then came the email. The subject line read, "Closed door at 2 p.m. mandatory." The gossip meters in the Palladium spiked off the charts. Attendees: director Jamie Lloyd, 2 top-tier producers, a union rep, and, most alarmingly, legal counsel on speakerphone. According to multiple sources, the meeting unfolded in a bunker-like conference room, whose windows overlooked Argyle Street but whose blinds were drawn tighter than a snare drum. What was discussed behind those closed doors remains sealed. But tidbits? They leaked out.
People have real problems and no one gives a shit if she got paid for 17 instead of 18 on her multi-million-dollar salary, which is not calculated by the hour.
Continued, like steam pushing through a kettle lid, every wisp pointed to the same grim possibility. Can the show survive without its star? First came the contractual deep dive. Lawyers reportedly dissected Ziegler's deal, clause by clause, searching for the magic words, unprofessional conduct and material interference. One insider claims the phrase pattern of disruption was brought up more than once, followed by a stark question. Does this qualify as a breach? No decision was reached, at least not on paper, but the very act of asking sent tremors down the call sheet. Second came the financial slide deck. Producers allegedly presented numbers comparing ticket pre-sales with projected break-even points. Let's just say the graph wasn't trending skyward. A color bar labeled Risk Delta if lead recast flashed crimson. Nearby, another bar titled Risk Delta if lead retained, burnt an even deeper shade of red. Pick your poison. One attendee later quipped, either drink the PR fallout of firing a headline name or risk bleeding cash if the backstage chaos hits previews. Third, and perhaps juiciest of all, was the contingency chatter. 2 casting agencies were mentioned, purely exploratory, lawyers stressed. Yet agents on the West End Grapevine confirmed that within 48 hours, they'd received discreet pings asking about the availability of a powerhouse with Latin flair, aged 20 to 35. Connect the dots, and the silhouette looked suspiciously Eva-shaped. Ziegler herself, sources say, was told only that schedule adjustments may occur. Translation: the chessboard is being studied, but no piece has moved yet. Still, the noise in the hallway afterward was deafening, whispered speculations, frantic screen taps, and one tech muttering, "If the lawyers are reading the contract, we're already past intermission." By nightfall, the company understood. The stakes had officially climbed from artistic tension to legal brinkmanship. And in theater, once the lawyers enter stage left, the next cue is rarely subtle. As legal minds sifted through clauses behind closed doors, Rachel Ziegler's public-facing machine kicked into overdrive, cranking out the kind of carefully curated Instagram posts designed to garner sympathy. Hearts first, questions later. First came a carousel of Polaroid-tinted rehearsal shots, every frame drenched in an amber glow. The caption: "Finding Ava's heartbeat in the stillness between notes." Poetic, yes, but according to at least 3 cast members, a complete rewrite of reality. One quipped, "Between notes, sis, you skipped half the song." The post garnered a flood of red heart emojis, but buried deep in the comments were questions asking why the crew were allegedly stuck in overtime while the star was out here curating vibe aesthetics. Next came a hushed-tone selfie video. Ziegler, damp-eyed, whispered about the weight of leading and the cost of artistic honesty. Within minutes, theater Twitter lit up like a marquee on opening night. Retweets split along party lines. Team Rachel praised her vulnerability, while skeptics dubbed it a main character meltdown. One viral quote tweet simply read, "Girl, the cost is over budget tech weeks. Ouch."
To address the elephant in the room. I'm the hottest person in the world.
Her PR squad tried shoring up defenses with a tightly phrased statement to a theater blog. Creative intensity is being mischaracterized as discord. The trouble was, the blog appended a box office chart right underneath, highlighting steep promo code usage. The juxtaposition didn't scream intensity. It looked more like damage control with a side of empty seats. Meanwhile, screenshots started circulating of allegedly deleted comments on Ziegler's post, with fans bluntly asking if the rumors of walk-offs were true. The deletions backfired. Watchdog accounts archived everything and reposted the receipts. If the goal was narrative control, the internet handed back a participation trophy labeled Striand Effect, 2025 edition. Backstage, actors watched the social spectacle unfold in real time, phones lighting up like footlights during a blackout. One ensemble member confessed it felt like performing in a reality show where confessionals are happening live, except they weren't invited to the camera. Another half joked they should add hashtag to every post, because it was starting to look like the show was sponsored by chaos. And so the gap widens. Inside the Palladium, tension thick as smoke. Outside, curated serenity, garnished with pastel filters. The question now, how many filters does it take to soften a free fall? Nothing telegraphs backstage panic quite like a flurry of discount codes. Lately, Evita's promo emails have read more like a clearance sale than a West End crown jewel. One insider leaked the numbers. Premium stalls that should have vanished in pre-sale were lingering like unsold Easter eggs. Meanwhile, dynamic pricing had quietly dipped into please just fill the row territory. Theaters always massage figures, but when a revival with this pedigree starts hawking 2-for-1 Wednesdays before tech is locked, investors don't need spreadsheets to feel the chill. Producers have moved into full data spin mode, telling trade mags that a delayed marketing push is standard for abstract stagings. Nice try. Except rival shows, with half the social media buzz, are posting near-capacity heat maps. One ticket tracking site, refreshed hourly by gleeful Broadway bloggers, shows Evita's orchestra section looking like a checkerboard, green for available, red for sold, and a lot more broccoli than tomato. Inside the finance meetings, sources say the slide deck now features a doomsday metric labeled pre-preview attrition risk. Translation: if rumors of walk-offs and legal chess keep swirling, how many patrons will bail before they even scan a QR code? One bean counter reportedly called the trend line the world's most expensive shrug. Harsh, but the room went silent. No one disagreed. Marketing's counter-offensive spotlighted the ensemble's brilliance, slick teaser clips of dancers hitting razor-sharp lines and voiceover trumpeting a collective triumph of modern theater.
Studios really need to go back to what they originally did, which was tell your stars to shut up and not say things, because no one is paying to hear your star say offensive things off the screen.
Admirable, but audiences buy tickets for Eva, not the ensemble and friends. And when Eva's headlines scream chaos, the hype reel lands like perfume on a bonfire. Even the crew feels the pinch. Wardrobe assistants whisper that budget allotments for quick change tech have been temporarily deferred, and the orchestra contractor allegedly offered reduced-rate rehearsals until cast stability is confirmed. Nothing torpedoes morale like penny-pinching before the overture. Yet, the most ominous omen dropped when a major ticket broker quietly emailed customers the flex refund option, usually reserved for natural disasters or superstar illness. Industry code 4, we might need an escape hatch. So here we are, a show conceived as a box office juggernaut, now wrestling with a numbers narrative colder than a February matinee. And every unsold seat becomes one more spotlight on the question no one can dodge. Can the production afford Rachel Ziegler's revolution, or will empty rows decide the matter first? Theatre thrives on whispers. And lately, the hush in Soho wine bars sounds a lot like casting roulette. According to 2 talent agents nursing flat whites at balloons, their inboxes pinged last week with a discreet availability check for an unnamed West End musical, seeking a late-20s powerhouse mezzo who can sell balcony-level pathos in Spanish-inflected diction. One agent laughed. They might as well attach a headshot of Eva in pearls. The timing, 48 hours after that lawyer-laden meeting, spoke louder than any NDA. Names are already floating in stage door chatter, a recent Olivier nominee, fresh off a Sondheim revival. A Netflix breakout who secretly trained at Guildhall. Even talk of coaxing back a veteran who once understudied Elena Roger. All rumor, all deniable. But crew members claim they've seen headshots printed and filed under Plan B in the casting office binder. One dresser snapped a covert photo of the tab and posted it to a friends-only story, captioned, "Emergency Evitas, choose your fighter." It vanished in minutes, but screenshots live forever. Yet amid the speculation, a smaller chorus argues for patience. A vocal coach close to the production insists Ziegler's raw instrument is an absolute cannon waiting for alignment, predicting that once the spotlight hits, she'll channel the pressure into volcanic brilliance. Even a fatigued ensemble member admitted off the record, "When Rachel locks in, the hair on your arm stands up. We just wish she'd lock in before the lunch break." It's the classic divide, pragmatists drawing replacement matrices while romantics cling to the promise of live-wire magic beyond the Palladium's walls. Other directors are quietly recalibrating. One West End producer. The stage manager's delaying the casting announcement until the Evita dust settles, a diplomatic way of saying reputations are contagious. Meanwhile, Broadway gossip boards are buzzing, wondering if this saga signals the end of Hollywood's stunt casting era or merely a cautionary footnote. Because whether Ziegler stays or exits, the industry is already rewriting its spreadsheets. How many follow as equal reliable curtain calls, and when does brand heat start melting the set? One thing is certain, phones across Theatreland are off silent, with every vibration potentially being the next plot twist. Until an official statement drops, London's nightlife has a new sport, betting on which diva's entrance music will queue up on opening night. So here we stand, house lights half-dimmed, the orchestra in an uneasy tuning loop, and every ticket holder refreshing their email for an update that could land at any minute. 3 endings hover in the wings. Scenario 1, Rachel Ziegler harnesses the storm, strides onto that Palladium balcony, and detonates a performance so incandescent that critics forget the rehearsal carnage ever happened. Overnight, the narrative flips from diva disaster to Phoenix Rising, and Hollywood's redemption machine rolls on, freshly lubricated. Scenario 2,